2:47 a.m., no sirens, no radar pings, no engine roar from approaching bombers, just silence. Ciao, and then the earth buckled. Deep beneath the anti-Lebanon mountains, where Syria's rugged cliffs bleed into Lebanon's borderlands, one of Hezbollah's most fortified underground command bunkers, Site 72 Alpha, collapsed in under 10 seconds. There were no warning shots, no footsteps, no escape. Only crushed steel, imploding tunnels, and pressure rippling outward like a silent pulse of death. What happened wasn't a strike. It wasn't even a battle. It was something colder, deliberate, surgical, because nothing visible had delivered the blow. No jets screamed overhead. No artillery fired from across the border. No drone hovered above the target. Yet something had arrived. Something American. Something designed to vanish into stone and only speak once it reached the heart of its target. This wasn't war as we know it. This was annihilation by design. The world didn't hear about it in real time, but when the dust settled, there was no mistaking what had occurred beneath that mountain. This was not just about destruction. This was about sending a message, one that only stealth bombers and earth-penetrating weapons know how to write. You can build deep, you can bury everything, but we'll still find you. This is the story of the mission they called Operation Black Echo. It started with a whisper, a fragment of intercepted chatter buried inside a message board on the dark web. Then came the satellite images. Crates, long, narrow, military grade, being offloaded beneath camouflage nets in Lebanon's BKA Valley. Night after night, thermal scans showed trucks arriving at the same secluded ridge, vanishing into the anti-Lebanon mountains. At first, analysts assumed it was just another weapons depot, routine, expected, but then something changed. The heat signatures were wrong, too consistent, too deep, too cold. Signals analysis picked up electromagnetic pulses, the kind used in encrypted drone coordination. Inside CIA's mission control room, a senior analyst said aloud what others feared: "This isn't a warehouse, this is a drone war room." By June 2nd, confirmation came in. Hezbollah was preparing to launch a swarm of kamikaze drones into the eastern Mediterranean. Targets: U.S.-flagged oil tankers. Location: near Cyprus and Crete. But this wasn't Iran's old drone tech. These were newer, smaller, hardened against jamming, pre-programmed with killbox coordinates. They were being coordinated from inside a mountain fortress, one that U.S. intelligence had been monitoring for 14 months. Codename: Site 72 Alpha, 300 feet beneath solid limestone, reinforced with Soviet-era blueprints, triple blast doors. Drone launch software running 24/7. If they launched, even one successful strike would fracture U.S. credibility across the region. This wasn't just about oil, it was about reputation, deterrence, command of the seas. And if Site 72 Alpha remained standing, the enemy would believe they were untouchable. At 10:36 p.m., a National Security Council meeting concluded with only one order: activate the B-2. This wouldn't be an airstrike, it would be a demonstration. One bomber, one bomb, one chance to turn a mountain into a tomb. Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri, 1:12 a.m. local time. In Hangar 6, under red lights and total radio silence, a B-2 Spirit was rolled onto the tarmac. Not just any B-2, this one was fitted with a single unmarked munition cradled beneath its fuselage, GBU-72B Hell Spike, the most advanced earth-penetrating bomb ever built. Unlike traditional bunker busters, this wasn't designed to explode on contact. It was made to wait, to dig, to listen, to decide when to kill. No press was notified, no announcements made. Even Allied militaries weren't briefed. By 1:41 a.m., the bomber was airborne, climbing through a veil of clouds over the Atlantic, slipping into radio silence and hugging the jet stream. Its skin, coated in RAM, radar-absorbent material, rendered it invisible. Its profile, sharp, angled, alien, cut through sky like a shadow with intent. By 2:39 a.m., it crossed into Lebanese airspace from 50,000 feet above the eastern Mediterranean. No radar picked it up, no missile lock, no flares needed. Beneath it, the mountains slept. Inside Site 72 Alpha, 47 Hezbollah operatives were active. Monitors glowed, voices gave orders. A drone launch sequence was already under simulation. No one looked up. At 2:47 a.m., the bomb released. The GBU-72B dropped silently, free-falling for 7 seconds before igniting its fins and stabilizers. It sliced through the sky at terminal velocity, but it didn't explode. Instead, it entered the mountain, not as a bomb, but as a promise. At 296 feet deep, nearly pinpointing the command center floor, the warhead detonated. There was no fireball, there was a pulse. A pressure wave so violent it collapsed the bunker from the inside out. Cameras mounted on a nearby Israeli UAV captured the moment the mountain exhaled dust, as if gasping from a wound no one could see. No survivors, no transmission, no escape. At first it seemed absolute. No heat signatures, no motion, no survivors. But 5 minutes later, something unexpected happened. A thermal scan from an MQ-9 Reaper picked up movement. 8 figures, dragging themselves across jagged rocks, emerging from a narrow tunnel carved into the base of the ridge. They were alive, burned, bleeding, disoriented, but alive. One of them was clutching a hard case, carbon fiber shell, military grade, likely holding encrypted data drives. Another had a portable SAT-link, still powered, still connected. They were the core team, command level, the ones who coordinated drone swarms, the ones who would have pressed launch within 72 hours. And now they were fleeing, limping across scrubland in the direction of a pre-marked pickup point 2 kilometers away. But they weren't alone. Above them, an RQ-180 stealth surveillance drone, flying nearly invisible at 60,000 feet, had eyes on every step. The drone didn't engage. It didn't need to, because 22 miles to the south, a pair of Israeli F-35I Adir fighters were already airborne, silent, radar absorbent, and linked directly to U.S. Overwatch. At 3:04 a.m., the F-35s locked in on the Reaper's target coordinates. No radio chatter, no warning. Each jet dropped a pair of GBU-39 small-diameter bombs, guided by laser and GPS to within 1 meter of target center. The bombs weren't meant to crater the Earth. They were meant to kill only what was moving. At 3:06 a.m., the hillside lit up. 4 staggered detonations, 7 seconds apart. Drone footage confirmed it. All 8 targets neutralized. The hard case shattered. The SAT-link destroyed, and with that, the last breath of Site 72 Alpha was erased. Not just buried, silenced. The world has seen bunker busters before. The GBU-28, the MOP, massive ordnance dropped from high altitudes to crush concrete with brute force. But the GBU-72B is something else. It doesn't just fall, it hunts. At 5,000 pounds, it carries a deep penetration warhead with an onboard delay fuse system powered by terrain modeling AI. It doesn't explode on contact. Instead, once it penetrates earth or concrete, it pauses, measuring surrounding density, acoustic vibrations, and subsurface architecture. Then it calculates where to do the most damage. It is not a hammer. It is a scalpel inside the skull. In the case of Site 72 Alpha, that meant detonating mid-chamber, collapsing interior load-bearing columns, and creating an internal vacuum implosion, crushing everything before the outer shell ever cracked. There was no fireball, no debris launched into the sky, just a mountain that suddenly went hollow. And that's exactly what the Pentagon wanted. Not a spectacle, not a crater, but a message only the enemy would understand. We know where you hide, and we can reach you. Intelligence confirmed it had been 17 years since Hezbollah had attempted a command center this deep, this advanced. They called it untouchable. They thought American satellites couldn't see it, that American weapons couldn't reach it, that American politics wouldn't dare respond. They were wrong on all three counts. Because the GBU-72 didn't care about concrete or depth or distance. It cared about one thing, finishing the mission before the world even knew there was one. By 3:18 a.m., Site 72 Alpha had ceased to exist. By 3:19, so had the men who fled it, but something even more telling happened at 3:25 a.m. Silence. No emergency broadcasts from Hezbollah, no defiant statements from Tehran, no retaliation, no warnings, not even denial. The mountain was gone and the world acted like it had never been there, but satellites saw the difference. Intelligence analysts watching infrared feeds from the region noticed sudden, panicked movement at known Hezbollah logistics hubs in northern Lebanon. Crates were being moved, vehicles repositioned, communications spiked, encrypted, erratic, desperate. U.S. SIGINT intercepted one phrase repeated over 40 times across different frequencies. Abandon site, go black. The psychological damage was done. They didn't just lose a bunker, they lost the belief that they were safe underground. Back in Washington, the National Security Advisor issued a simple memo to the White House. Target neutralized. Secondary team eliminated. No public acknowledgement recommended. Let them wonder. And that was the final move. No press conferences, no drone footage. Just a sudden shift in posture across the Middle East. Israeli jets increased air patrols. Cyprus raised its naval alert. U.S. carrier strike groups in the Mediterranean repositioned, quietly, deliberately. And in Beirut, something chilling occurred. Hezbollah media outlets broadcast reruns. No mention of any strike, no martyrdom ceremony, no names. Only a gap in programming, as if they were waiting for permission to speak. But none came, because even whispers fear what they don't understand. And no one truly understood how the mountain died that night, except those who ordered it, and those who now realize they could be next. In past wars, power was measured by the roar of engines, the weight of armor, the shock of a missile launch seen from 1,000 miles away. But today, the most terrifying weapons don't announce themselves. They arrive without light, without sound, and without warning. Operation Black Echo wasn't just a mission, it was a message broadcast in silence. You can dig deep, you can encrypt your comms, you can hide under a mountain, but if we decide, you're done. The B-2 never broke the sound barrier. The bomb never sparked a flame in the sky. There were no body bags, no images of rescue crews, no ceremony, just pressure, stone, collapse, and a void where an enemy command once stood. The future of war will not be loud. It will be mapped by satellites, guided by AI, and executed by men who never touched the battlefield. It will unfold in seconds, not hours. With one button pressed in a silent room and a crater forming on the other side of the world before the enemy knows they were at war. That's what Operation Black Echo was. Not a campaign, not a battle, a warning. And now, as tension builds across the Middle East and Eastern Europe, the world is asking, where will the next echo fall? In this new era, you don't hear America coming. You only feel it, when everything around you turns to ash. If you believe the world should know what just happened beneath that mountain, like, subscribe, share, because the shadows are moving again, and next time there might be no one left to tell the story.